Inner Quest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to Inner Quest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Tari Heap. Welcome, Tari.
Hi, glad to be here.
Well, I'm sure you can help our audience with some entertainment and some information. As a certified Jin Shin Jyutsu practitioner, self-help instructor, and life coach, you've been helping people with Jin Shin Jyutsu since 2001 and has pursued advanced training for PTSD and critical labels, or otherwise known as serious life-threatening conditions.
Exactly.
So why should our audience be interested in Jin Shin Jyutsu?
Because it's good for what ails you.
Okay.
It is amazingly diverse and has the ability to help with the simplest of physical problems as well as much more serious or critical conditions.
Is it exercise?
What it is it's a profound yet very simple way to tap into the body's inner wisdom through the use of our hands. We use our hands as jumper cables to access different locations on the body called safety energy locks.
Well, how is that different from like doing, which is a form of self-massage?
Well, there's no manipulation or massage involved.
Okay.
It is connecting like circuit breakers. And within the body there are different energetic pathways which feed all the cells of our body.
And so is this a Chinese art?
It's actually Japanese.
Okay,
It's
Japanese.
Japanese, yeah.
Okay.
But it predates the Buddha and Moses. There are written records in the Imperial Palace of Japan today that show the existence of Jin Shin Jyutsu that far back.
Okay. So what initially drew you to Jin Shin Jyutsu?
Oh my God, I love this work. I was given a gift certificate. I'd been a massage therapist forever and had incorporated many different styles of energy work. And I found that with this particular work, I was able to be very, very specific, and I love the self-care component, that I'm able to give homework, so to speak, in between practitioner sessions. And the self-care component is pivotal to the work.
Do you continue to do massage as well?
No, I left that behind. I was getting such better results from the Jin Shin Jyutsu that I just moved on.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier about Jin Shin Jyutsu coming from Japan. Is there anything else we should know about the early history?
Well, Jiro Murai, which I have a little photo there of him, he's the one that resuscitated this art 100 years ago. He had a terminal illness, and he used some of the tools from Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Do you know what that terminal illness was?
I heard it was leukemia.
So not necessarily terminal.
Not necessarily, but at the time, especially in the turn of the century, he came from a family of doctors, and the family of doctors didn't know how to help him, so they took him to the mountains to basically, have a quiet death. And Jiro began using some finger mudras, and he went from feeling like he was in a furnace to a deep freeze. And at the end of the week, he knew that he was 100% healed. And in deep gratitude, he devoted the rest of his life to the study of this.
Did he live a long life?
He lived actually into his 60s, but which at the time, I'm not sure if that was considered a long life or not.
I would think so.
He was so attuned to the energy in his own body that he mapped out the different pathways himself. And he even told one of the few remaining people who's still alive today that's studied with Jiro that he warned him to study with him as soon as he could because he only had a couple of years left, which is kind of remarkable that he could hear that from his own pulses. So that's where that...
Now, when you said hear from the own pulse, I'm aware that there's a such thing called pulse diagnosis. Is that part of Jin Shin Jyutsu?
Yes, it is. It tells us where in the body the energy travels down the front and it comes up the back. And there are 26 safety energy locks on each side of the body. And when I listen to the pulses, it tells me whether the energy is stuck in the bust line, the waistline, the hip line going down the front, or coming up the back, waistline, hip line, bust line.
Now, I understand you teaching at Infinity.
Yes.
And so you're going to be teaching people how to read their own pulses? Is that
no,
the goal?
that's a practitioner area, and that is a lifetime pursuit. That's an art for sure. And you have to listen to a million people's pulses before you begin to get an idea of what's going on.
So what do you teach in your class?
So what I teach is self-care. And Jin Shin Jyutsu started as self-care, and Jiro believed that we had the power to heal ourselves just as he did when he was gravely ill. And so I teach people how they can help themselves with their emotions, with physical symptoms, and with all manner of help.
Now, is Jin Shin Jyutsu widely taught and used in Japan?
It's taught around the world, and very few people have heard of it, maybe because it's so hard to pronounce. But it is taught around the world, but self-care is really the foundation of it.
Do you know the literal interpretation of Jin Shin Jyutsu?
The art of the creator through compassionate man.
Can you repeat that again? Let's see if I got it. The art of the creator through the compassionate man?
Yes. Yeah. Jiro kind of honed it. He had a few different interpretations of that in kind of renaming it. It was handed down from generation to generation in his pursuit and his devotion to the work as he mapped out the different pathways and located the safety energy locks, which act as keys for healing.
Now, do you know what the word jitsu, because I heard like jujitsu.
Yeah, it's, you know, I would have to look at it because it looks backwards when I read it, but the art of the creator through compassionate man, I believe Jitsu is through compassionate man, and then Shin is the spirit or energy, the creator.
All right, I won't hold you to it.
Yeah, you better not. Yeah.
So who was the one who brought Jin Shin Jyutsu to the United States?
That was Mary Burmeister when she was a young woman before she got married. She was a Japanese American who went back to Japan, and she had heard stories about Jiro.
Oh, there's a picture of her.
That's right.
Oh, and she's a Japanese American, huh?
That's right.
All right, I'll hold that up. And did she just go to the Japanese community, or? Yeah,
she had family there, and I think she wanted to reacquaint herself with her family and go back to her roots.
And what year are we talking about?
That would have been, I'm guessing that would have been in the 50s, about there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she was...
I might be wrong about that.
I used to shop at a Japanese market, and I met people that were interned in camps during... Japanese Americans who were interned in camps during World War II.
Yes, she had been interned during that time, and she heard these great stories about the work Jiro was doing, and so she went to see him do a demonstration and talk about the work, and he asked her to bring back a gift to America. And she agreed, and she studied with him for 6 years until she met her husband, and then she moved back to the States, but continued to study with Jiro even when she moved back to the States.
Now, you mentioned in the classes you teach self-care.
Yes.
How much practice or self-care is recommended daily?
Well, ideally, if it was Mary Burmeister, she would say daily. There are daily flows that you can do, but we encourage people to own it for themselves.
Yeah, we're talking like, well, you mentioned the word flow. Is that?
A flow is a sequence of handholds using the safety energy locks to unlock.
Can you demonstrate?
What's stuck. Absolutely. If you have a stomach ache, for example, or nausea, you can hold just on the insides of your knees like this. And after Thanksgiving meal, when you're like really full, this works like a charm.
Can you do that to prevent overeating?
Well, actually, there are better flows for that.
Well, I'm sure our audience would
the first step of the stomach flow on the right side, holding the left hand just underneath the cheekbone and then just underneath the collarbone, is a great way to access the stomach flow. And especially that side helps with losing weight, but both sides will help, and it harmonizes appetite, whether it's too much or too little.
Well, insomnia is a big problem and getting a bigger problem.
Yes.
And any tips for that?
Yes, the base of the thumb right here is a great one. Or just holding the whole thumb is pretty easy. The great thing about the safety energy locks, unlike Chinese medicine where they're points, these are more zones, and they're about 3 inches in diameter, and they can expand and they can contract, and so there's a lot of wiggle room in finding the location.
Now, are you aware of any research done in the United States or outside?
Actually, there's been a number of medical studies done in various hospitals and in helping, especially with breast cancer and heart disease. And there's been some tremendous results from that, and it's also very helpful with post-traumatic stress.
Can you explain why we know it's good for heart disease and breast cancer?
There can be a lot of underlying causes of what's going on, but the energy, in a nutshell, gets stuck in the cells. It kind of gets frozen. The breath is not able to move through, and our safety energy locks kind of lock close to let us know when there's something wrong and to pay attention. But they also act as keys, and so by holding the safety energy locks, it unlocks what's blocked. And so the reason...
better circulation.
Yeah, better energetic circulation.
Lower blood pressure, I'm sure.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I so love about this, is I can be very specific about blood pressure or about breathing difficulties, about the different kinds of headaches they are. I can be very targeted about what I can do as a practitioner, but also during self-care.
And who's attracted? What kind of students are attracted to you?
Oh gosh, everybody.
More men than women, more
I would
older
say
adults?
Probably more women, simply because they tend to be more open to...
I would agree. I said that wrong, but And then people who are older?
I would say it crosses the spectrum, especially I think people who are in the workaday world, where the tyranny of the urgent is dogging their heels, and they begin to get stressed out. And through that stress, then, the things begin to get locked down.
Now, you mentioned the workaday world. What about like computer eye strain or headaches? People get any?
Absolutely.
So is this something somebody could do at their desk?
Yes. Yeah. There are, it depends on where the headaches are coming from or the eye strain is coming from, but the eye strain, there's a wonderful self-help technique where you, again, you put one hand underneath the cheekbone, and then the other hand, if I can turn around and show you, goes in the back of the opposite neck, right where that little hollow is. And in fact, working on a computer, I used to work at Northwestern University, and my eyes were really getting kind of trashed from working on the computer so much. And I began really honing in on helping my eyesight. And I found, I knew it had really made a difference when I picked up the phone book and went, oh, I can read it without my glasses.
That's super. And how long would you hold those 2 points? Is it like you wait till you feel comfortable?
You can feel a pulse, but especially in the beginning, people don't often feel anything right away. The more you clean, so to speak, the more you will begin to feel it in your body. And Mary would say, be your own testimony. And for me, the testimony was when I began doing self-care for colds. And for me, prior to Jin Shin Jyutsu, I'd have a good 5 to 7 day cold that would just be completely stuck in my nose. And then the man that I trained Jin Shin Jyutsu with said, well, you have to do these flows. And I was knocked out because I either am able to drastically shorten the cold and its severity or completely bypass it if I start it early enough. Yeah, but usually 3-4 minutes in there is what I like to give each location.
Okay.
In the sequence.
And then the diet, is there any dietary suggestions? Because I know Oriental medicine, you know, there's the 5 elements and, you know, there's 5 different foods.
Yeah, there's a similarity to the 5 element theory in terms of sussing out what needs help or what needs support or cleaning. So there's a similarity, but there isn't strong guidelines in Jin Shin Jyutsu towards diet.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And how is Jin Shin Jyutsu similar and different from other ways of healing?
I think because it was predicated on self-care first before it became a practitioner art, and so the power is in your own hands to be able to harmonize physical, mental, and emotional problems.
So the responsibility is the patient's.
Yeah, and it gets to be kind of addictive because it can be so helpful, and you can own it for yourself, you know, adding pillows, or although it can be done as a meditation, you can do it in front of the TV. You don't have to be precious about it, so to speak.
Okay.
You can just own it.
Well, what happens if somebody has a problem with the prefrontal cortex, the executive center of the brain, where they have poor follow-through, they don't finish what they start, or they, quote unquote, lack discipline? Is there points that could get them more motivated?
Well, certainly the forehead points would be helpful. I would say, you know, that might get into working more with the hands, which I have a graphic there of a hand.
Okay.
And what's wonderful about this is that you can do it anywhere. You can, you don't have to do a whole full sequence. You can do this in public and not embarrass yourself by doing this, you know, which might look a little strange. But you can hold a finger, and so the thumb helps harmonize worry, and it helps with stomach upset and skin problems. The index finger helps with fear. And that's a big one for a lot of people. And
when I think of the index finger, I think of anger. You know, it's like, you are...
Yeah, well, actually, the middle finger in Jin Shin Jyutsu, which I won't demonstrate here, but, you know, is a good way to remember that one.
Oh, that's for anger?
Yeah, for anger, the middle finger.
Now, is that, I know in Oriental medicine, anger is liver?
Liver gallbladder, that's right.
Liver gallbladder. Right.
And so, in a way, the hands are kind of like a template or a hologram for the whole being. Jiro said, first the breath, then the fingers, then the flows. And so thumbs, worry, stomach, spleen, fear for the index finger with bladder, kidney, middle finger with anger and liver gallbladder, and ring finger is sadness or grief, lung and large intestine, and then the little finger is what they call pretense or trying to, which is heart and small intestine. So to an extent, you can influence those things that are problematic, that those govern.
Well, right. So if somebody had a problem with a liver or gallbladder or spleen or pancreas, they can work on their hands, and that's helping their organs. Right. Excellent.
And they do many other things, but that's the shorthand of, so to speak, what it is.
And can you think of any ways that Jin Shin Jyutsu is similar to other energy medicines?
I would say the most similar might be Chinese medicine because of that similarity of the 5-element theory in terms of diagnosis. But there are definitely differences, and the physiophilosophy of getting to know yourself and therefore help yourself through self-care is fundamental to the belief system behind it.
Okay. Can you name some illnesses or problems that Jin Shin Jyutsu can help treat?
You name it. It can be anything from a headache to a cold to post-traumatic stress to breast cancer, heart disease, Parkinson's. It really helps a lot with the Western medicine treatments like chemotherapy and radiation. It can help us so that we need less medication for handling
pain medication?
Pain relief, yeah, pain relief, yeah.
And ideally, I would think you would want to use it as a prevention so that you don't have major illnesses.
Exactly. So by doing some daily self-care, then you can help keep things in good order.
Okay. Let's see. Is this the poster of the energy locks?
Yes, the safety energy locks.
Okay.
And there's 26 of them on each side of the body, and there are various meanings ascribed to the different locations, and they can be very, very useful.
Now, like the ones in the back, how does people?
So there are workarounds for some of those in the back, and there are self-help little booklets that Mary Burmeister wrote that make use of those shortcuts or those ways of getting around the ones in the back. So for example, at the bottom of the scapula is safety energy lock 9, but we can't reach that very well. So the alternative to that is at the elbow, at the elbow crease, to be able to access that one.
Now, would that be considered, well, would energy be flowing as in like a meridian?
Similar, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar, yeah.
Okay.
Not the same, but similar.
Do you want to say anything else on this poster?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And what is the source for this?
That is from the Jin Shin Jyutsu website.
Okay.
Yep, and is part of their training materials that I received actually in my certification for teaching self-help.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about how Jin Shin Jyutsu helps people help themselves?
I would say it gets to be addictive because you begin to feel so much better. When you're emotionally upset, it's very calming. And we know that the calmer people are, the better the healing mechanisms in the body work, as well as healing all kinds of symptoms.
And the more they think clearly, or the more they get in touch with their instincts and intuition and make better decisions, which lead to better health.
Right. Calmer is always better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you're also a life coach.
Yes, I am.
Now, do the two go hand in hand?
They go together wonderfully.
Because if somebody's blocked in like a career, in a relationship, they're physically blocked.
So these two just dovetail so beautifully together. What I found when I was just doing Jin Shin Jyutsu is that I would get people all harmonized, and they'd be more relaxed and feeling better, and then their thoughts would get them all stressed out again and kind of take them backwards. And
regress.
They'd regress, exactly. And so by getting into their limiting beliefs and learning how to use their own inner rudder to steer their way.
Well, when people have limiting beliefs, do they show up with the energy in the body?
They do. They do. In fact, I think I learned a lot more about Jin Shin Jyutsu through my life coach training, which was a surprise to me. That
was it part of the training, or you're just able to?
No, I did that separately.
Yeah.
The life coach training, but it makes a lot of sense to me. Like, for example, you mentioned like heart problems before. That is often connected to this finger, which will be heart and small intestine, and the pulses for me.
Is it the same both hands?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's the right side and left side, and it can sound like booming, which is often pushing the river. It's not allowing ourselves to be just who we are.
So it's fighting the flow.
It's fighting the flow. It's always looking to the future or worrying about the past, and by doing sequences that help that, it puts people more in the present, and then when they're in the present, they stop worrying so much and they're able to see more clearly about where they want to go with their lives.
Well, I'm real interested in the neuroscience of the brain.
Yeah.
So not going with the flow, that would be the cingulate gyrus system, the brain's gear shifter.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. Well, if the cingulate gyrus is working well, you know, we'd naturally flow from one thought to the next thought to the next thought, or one feeling to the next, or one behavior. But if that gear shifter gets stuck, it's like the brain gets locked, and you know, in severe cases, people might wash their hands 40 or 50 times.
Right, some kind of obsessive compulsive behavior.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, if you're changing the energy below, you're changing it above in the brain, and there are, you know, plenty of brain studies where, you know, they can take pictures of the brain and show like pre and post treatment, and shows the improvements.
Right, and the connection between emotions and physical symptoms is so intimately connected, and they certainly know that when we're in fight or flight, it's much more difficult for the body's healing mechanisms to heal. Yeah. And one of the things that is
because the body doesn't want to heal, it wants to address this immediate life or death emergency. It says, oh, well, we'll heal later when this life or death emergency, except we keep creating more life.
There's a saber-toothed tiger on my heels, and so I got to get away. But of course, we humans have the ability to scare ourselves, you know, with all of our what-if fears, and spin off in that direction. And this is definitely a way to calm things down, and the energy can kind of freeze in the cells, and so the Jin Shin Jyutsu helps kind of remove that from the body, which is why it's so helpful with post-traumatic stress.
And what about working with children? You know, like teaching in schools, or have you done some work?
I haven't done that in schools, but I have worked with children, and there is a fabulous Fun with Fingers and Toes, I think is the title of it, for working, showing kids how they can help themselves and empower themselves.
How about like children with learning disabilities or autism?
Yes, most definitely. That less so for self-care. That would move more towards a practitioner for that more complex critical label.
Well, we're kind of running out of time. There's like a minute and a half.
Okay.
What do you want to cover that we haven't spoke about yet?
Be your own testimony, as Mary would say. Give it a try. Go to the main Jin Shin Jyutsu site. Check out the little booklets that Mary did, as well as The Touch of Healing by Alice Burmeister. Own it for yourself, and the more you use it, you'll find the more harmonized you are, and then the better your life goes.
Well, we still do a little time. Can you show our audience the band graphic? Did we do that one? Or was that there?
The hand graphic?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did the hand graphic already.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. Now, is Jin Shin Jyutsu compatible with allopathic medicine?
Big time. It makes it so that we need less medication. It helps clean the system from drugs like radiation and chemotherapy.
I'm getting a signal to wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
For more
very
information
much.
about Tari, Inquest, Infinity Foundation, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good spirits, and good fortune. Great job. Thank you so much.
For more information about this show, our guests, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.